Hello, everybody. Johnston, I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Coast and host of Community Talks. Today we're here with Bettina. You want to introduce yourself?
Bettina Plendl, Financial Divorce Strategies.
Lori.
Lori Frank, I'm a family mediator.
And Laurel.
Yes, I'm Laurel Dietz. I'm a lawyer. I do primarily family law, and I'm the owner-operator of Alinea Legal Coaching.
Okay, so we were meeting all throughout COVID and discussing what was happening with parenting, because there's obviously a lot of stress with people having to live in close proximity. I'm just wondering, what is the update now for what's happening with each of your businesses? Laurel, do you want to start? Because I think a lot of people will be concerned about knowing what's going on in the courts.
Okay, so yeah, I think, in March, we saw sort of gradually over the course of a few weeks, we saw the complete shutdown, not complete, but almost complete shutdown of the court system. So now both the Supreme Court and the Provincial Court are back up and running in modified forms. So the Provincial Court is scheduling matters, as is the Supreme Court. But things are a little bit different than they were before. So, if you've never been through the court process, it's all going to be new to you anyway. But you do need to bear with a little bit of confusion, I think, on the part of, lawyers or the registry in trying to figure out how the correct procedure is to go forward now. So just bear that in mind if you are starting the court process now. But yeah, things are moving ahead in that area. And as Lori, I'm sure will mention, is like with mediations, things have never really stopped. I'm finding then just a general update about my clients. I think I saw a huge increase of people wanting to actually process their divorces and like tie up a lot of loose ends that had been hanging out there for a number of years. So I think that's positive. And then, with my own practice, rather than continuing our working from home, we're deciding to move back into the office for the fall. But we've just signed the lease on a larger office space, so we could have lots of social distancing within the office, and so that clients, if they need to come in, they can come in and sign their documents with us. In the sheltered from the rain and the wind. So that's that's kind of why we got the larger space, and but mostly we're going to be doing most of our meetings over Zoom and phone, as we were doing over the past few months.
Okay, and what you do is different than what you do is different than a lot of other divorce lawyers. So do you want to explain what you do?
Yes. So the traditional lawyer, you go in and you give them, $2,500 or up to $10,000, and they take care of not everything for you. You still have to correspond with your lawyer, but they fight your battles for you. With us, we let you choose how much of our services you want to use, and that way you keep control over your spending, but you also are responsible for representing yourself. I find that this is a beneficial way to proceed, at least at first, with your separation or divorce, because it can often keep things a lot less escalated. It can keep, and you can kind of speed through to a resolution a lot faster if you're negotiating yourself with your spouse. And we give people sort of the knowledge. We help people with the knowledge, the know-how, and the guidance on how to do that properly. So you're not going in blind. Most people tell me something along the lines, "Oh, I couldn't do it myself." And it's like, everybody, yes, you can. You can do it yourself, and I can help you. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So once we work through it and we talk through these things, people feel a lot more confident and able to take charge of their own matters.
Okay. And so if you don't want to go the legal route, you can also go through mediation. Lori, you want to talk about what you do?
Sure. Sometimes families, parents decide that they want to use mediation as their primary way of resolving their separation. And so what that means is they both work with me And I help them to identify all of the issues that they're needing to work through, and then we sit down together and we work our way through them. And at the end, hopefully come up with agreements around their parenting plan, their separation of finances. So the difference is that they're working with one person. I don't represent either one of them as a lawyer might do. Instead, I help to just facilitate the discussion, help them move through any conflicts that they're having. And we do still, though, work with people like Laurel. A parent might have Laurel as well, so that as we're moving through things, if they need legal advice along the way or they have questions, they've got someone that they can call and say, what do you think about this? And is this reasonable or is it not reasonable? So they can get that assistance along the way. So it's not uncommon for those two services to work hand in hand as people are moving through the mediation process.
And Bettina, you work with both of these guys. Sorry, I was muting because I'm outdoors. The joy of teenagers. So how are you working with these clients? And
I'm the sandwich person. I assist everybody. I love to work with the families if they have any questions on the financial side of things. Me as a certified financial planner, I project into the future what the settlement actually would mean for the individual near future. So they can really make informed decisions. They can take retirement into considerations, and spouses realize that it's not that simple sometimes to just ask for this or for that. We really need to pay attention that it works for everybody involved, as ultimately, yes, the parents are not together anymore, but they're still a family, especially if there's children involved. So I always like to take that into consideration, that we want to craft an agreement that lasts and everybody is on board with, and it can be written in stone. Laurel drafts a wonderful legal document, and the parenting plan makes sense. So if you have need some wiggle room, you still have that how should I say, that opportunity to communicate, because you worked it out together and it makes sense. So I assist from the financial end with mediation, and I meet with both couples as well. As what I often find is that in a relationship, one partner doesn't know everything or as much as the other partner, as it's just traditional. Not everybody likes doing everything, and then you just get used to it that the other takes care about everything. And in a separation situation, you might find yourself, oh my, I don't even know those things and have no clue. So first of all, my task is to educate them, bring them on eyesight what the vehicles are they are using for their money, how it all works together, how it's placed together for their new future, and again, how we can make it work. So the law is always a reference point, and I send clients as well to Laurel to say, look, you should get advice on how you can deal with it. And Lori can deal then with the parenting, as that's not my field of expertise, to be honest. And then with all of us working together, we can help them really through a very difficult time in their life, which is unfamiliar, absolutely, and just guiding them through the maze of it, right? As people are often stunned how long it takes, and it takes longer than they think, and it's a bit more complex as they might think, but it's nothing, as Laurel said, you can't solve. It's if you put your head into it, then it's amazing what can come out at the end. Good things.
So have you two found it busy this summer? With so we were meeting up until I think the end of May or June, and so has it been busy this summer? I'm finding I'm getting inquiries since we've come out of lockdown of people wanting to get separated and divorced.
Yeah, on my end. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Bettina.
There was a delay. I didn't hear. On my end, it clearly August is always a little bit of the family month, so it started up right up again in April, I would say, and then it really got its momentum, and then again August, most people put it to rest for a little while, and now it's really getting up and running again. I find as well that many families have now, they got used to the new normal. Kind of the resilience muscle has had a little bit of a workout, so now they feel strong again and can feel trust that they can figure it out. And a little bit unknown of the employment situation, that's sometimes an obstacle right now in the sense of money, but beyond that they made a clear decision. It's over and we want to move ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Lori? Busy?
It got busy there for a while. I would say it slowed down a little as the summer went on, and then I'm finding now it's starting to pick up again. And I think it's actually not that unusual in terms of timing, COVID or not. I find the fall picks up because people get back to their usual routines and that kind of thing and start to get life back in order. And this is a time of year I find people try to get things back in order before now we're looking towards the holidays and wanting to get things done before then. So yeah, it's starting to pick up again.
So real estate wise, do you guys want an update?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so the end of August 31st, we are actually year to date, one property sold more than last year. However, in terms of the volume of when it happened, usually what happens is we have a peak in May and June and it all shifted. And so that shift happened in July and August. And then in September, it's carried on. So in terms of September 2020 compared to 2019, we were up 50% approximately.
Wow.
To 989 sales compared to 616. And then we were, total listings though was about the same at 1,294 compared to 1,168 last year. And so the total active listings is still low at 2,389, but similar to what it was last year at 28, 23. So the market shifted and I had very busy summer, very busy.
It kind of made up some ground, I think, because we were, right? You were saying, I think in March, April, May, it was kind of still moving, but it was only half the volume that it would have been otherwise.
55% less.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we've made up for it, and definitely a change in what people are buying. So more people moving out to country homes. People investing in vacation properties on Vancouver Island, so they're not leaving the island for their holidays. And then, like, it was just insane up in Shawnigan Lake, and just the price of houses, especially further out, just going up really high.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is this what you expected when we were talking back in March, April? May? I know that there had been some predictions about how there was pent-up demand and that you expected there would come a time when this would, I just don't know, did you expect it to come so quickly, or did you expect it to be a little bit later that this kind of spike would happen?
Well, what happened was in June, I thought, I should just kind of poke people and say, how's it going? Well, I did them all at the same time. And it was like, I was drinking out of a hose in July as everybody was selling and buying. And I probably had my best month ever. Part of that, I think, is just that we kept in contact with people. So we were top of mind, all of us, and just made sure everybody was taken care of, even though I wasn't selling real estate a lot while we were out of commission there. The biggest difference has been the process. So we're very virtual now. I do virtual welcome and orientation with buyers and sellers, and I can show virtually. It has tapered off a bit. I did my first COVID open house, which actually I've done 2. So I get people to make an appointment so that I know when they're coming, and then I have contact tracing, and I only follow up with people if they want me to. So, yeah.
Sounds like a good concept.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a bit weird to figure out, because I was like, okay, I want to know how many people are clicking on the link. So I created a bit.ly link, and then that led to my Calendly, and then that Calendly had times, and people signed up for a time, so I knew when they were going to come.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Yeah,
really good.
So
yeah.
So what are your predictions coming up? Because you know what, we're actually more active in terms of COVID this now than we were in the spring when we were all freaked out, and yet we're relaxing everything because I guess no more. What do you think is going to happen, Laurel, in the fall?
So I
we're
think
in the
people
fall.
are, for at least, I mean, generally, I think in the fall, I think we're getting used to this new life, and I think that people are kind of rolling up their sleeves and just getting back to work and figuring out how to be. As Bettina was saying, we've kind of worked out our resilience muscle, and now we're just moving on. And I think that's it. People are just tired of being sad and down in the dumps, and they want to have some normalcy in their life, and they're figuring out how to do it. So, you know, with respect to my business, I think that people are getting a little bit smarter about how they're spending their money and their time. They don't want to spend long periods of time in long divorce battles, and they don't want to go to court. It's, you know, that's just a breeding ground for germs, if not a bad taste in your mouth. So better to be a little bit smart about how you're going to work your matters out, and be more careful with your money, because you don't necessarily know, you know, where your next paycheck is going to come from. So better to get things resolved now, get them resolved cleanly. So we've seen like a steady increase in business, and we expect that the fall is going to get quite busy for us. And hopefully we'll be able to carry that through to next year. So I'm, you know, some of the people watching, or nobody watching, might know that I've only been working part-time as much as possible through this year, because I've had a new baby to care for at home. But starting in January, I'll be back to work full-time, and really making a big push to get people in and kind of process through our system in a nice way. But I'm hoping that next year is going to be a big year for our firm.
What about you, Lori?
Yeah, same thing. I think people are just wanting to get back to it. So for myself, I would say I'm doing about 80% in-person mediations at the moment, and still some online, but mostly in person. And I'm, you know, just using bigger spaces and putting protocols in place that make it safe, because mostly I'm finding people are still wanting to mediate in person and prefer it. So yeah, I think unless something really drastic happens, I know our numbers are creeping up there, but I actually was hearing on the radio today that despite the numbers going up, the graphs are actually showing that we are flattening the curve again.
Yay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's but regardless, I think it's going to be really hard to make us pull back on where they've let us get to. So unless something drastic happens, I expect that I'll continue to be working in person for the most part. I don't do anymore. I don't usually now do my pre-mediation meetings in person. I'll do those online. But for our actual joint sessions together, we're mostly doing those in person.
Yeah. I find like for viewing homes, people want to see the in-person still. And I find people are very respectful of the space and time if somebody's in there. It's not like before where people would barge in. So if I say wait, they wait.
Mhm.
That's kind of
Jane
nice.
is watching you.
I used to use that evil eye when I taught phys ed. And they'd be like, are
Good one.
you looking at me? So I'm finding that this is the new normal, right? People keep saying when the second wave comes, I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're in the second wave. Are we not?
Yeah, we are.
I think so.
As Lori said, they did. That's what I had heard, is that it's been flat in BC. We flattened the curve. It was the closing of the bars and the nightclubs was what did it. So they feel quite confident that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys, but I created one of the nice things about this coming out of lockdown was that we were in summertime. We could spend more time with friends outside. And so that's kind of like been quite, nice to get back to that normal, being able to see friends and family outside. But I've created a winter COVID patio. So it's carport, so it's covered, but open air. And we have our fire table. So it's nice and warm. We've got beautiful little lights because it's going to be dark, starting very soon. Some plants out there. So it's the socializing can continue well into the winter.
Nice.
That's great. We've moved our fire pit up. We've got two and they're portable. So we've moved one of them up to one of our decks so that we can be at the house instead of out in the yard, and it's a little warmer and more sheltered. But I'm thinking maybe if we had the garage door open and brought it in there, that might work in the winter.
That's a very West Shore thing to do, by the way.
I think so. People from other provinces would say, what is she talking about?
That's true. We're lucky out here.
I have a question for you guys. I have so I've had lots of inquiries. What I'm finding is they're really getting in touch with me too soon. So, and mostly because both parties aren't ready to sell yet. So I'm telling them they should go to counseling or mediation first. I know. What do you think?
Well, I think, with the whole COVID situation and what we've seen in China, the data from China, that clearly the stress level went up for many mentally. And I honestly think financially as well, that I think that people overspend in the time off and they deferred a lot of payments. So now the boomerang comes back at one point. I think as of today, you got to pay back your student loans. There's no more mercy. So there's a lot of things kicking back in, and with the government stopping their support, it will be tough for some. So I can see that money can be adding some extra stress. And either they figure that part out, or I agree, they go and get counseling done and then see what they can do with their numbers. And once that is figured out, make a decision. Do I want to separate or not? As often it starts with the money, the tensions about the money. I have to report. And I'm, from my end, not worried really per se, but I think it will be a factor, the COVID spending and now again all these payments coming up and maybe lay up less pay because of still shorter hours, or so it's still a little bit tricky in my opinion. And I think next year people will decide, oh, I bought last year an ATV or a trailer or some other toy. Maybe I don't need it anymore. I need the cash now. So I think we will have a second-hand market, an active one.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I know that the recreation vehicle market, RVs, was really, really hot. And this lady was talking about buying one, and I'm like, just rent one. Rent one until you know it's going to be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's some good advice, I think. RVing is a real lifestyle
That's a
decision.
commitment.
Yes. I just had a vision of going to Mexico. I don't know for what reason, but I thought, well, if they open it all up again, what will happen with the internet? And everything just will break down because people will go crazy in bookings and flights and yeah. So I think if everything will be back, we have a vaccine hopefully soon, then you will see another craziness.
Well, I don't think a vaccine will solve the issue because it's mutating. The virus is mutating already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
true.
Well,
Yeah,
you just got to get used to the hand washing, the sanitizing, and the masks, right?
Yeah.
Keeping your distance.
Yeah. And
But
stop
the
moving
question
around.
the question you were asking, Jane, I think sometimes people, because their house is their biggest asset, they often, that's their first reaction is to start to try and deal with that. So maybe that's why you're seeing people coming to you a little too early in the whole process. So yeah, I think sometimes people just don't, they've got sort of that knee-jerk reaction of, okay, we're separating, what are we going to do with the house? And they start exploring that before they kind of get that big picture. It's good to step back, get the big picture. Do things like with Bettina, what do you want for the future? What do you want it to look like? That kind of thing before you start considering putting your house on the market, because maybe that's not the decision you'll make in the end.
On the other side, it's beneficial to have an opinion, right? Maybe they want to update it, right? And now, as long as they work on it together, it's at least fair, and the value they will get is higher, hopefully, instead of having a divorce home where you can sometimes, unfortunately, clearly see nobody should know, right?
So we're going to have Andrew Nichols join us. He's going to be he is an appraiser. So he gives a different perspective than I do. I more talk about the value of the market and where the market going. He looks at where things have come. So he'll look at like the last 3 months of sales and determine what the value is. And then I'll determine the market value when we get closer to that date. But I just want to say to anybody, if you're interested, you can get in touch with Bettina, Lori, or Laurel, as well as Andrew, who will be joining us on our next call. And here's their information. Laurel Dietz is with GoCoach.ca. Bettina Plendl is with bp4strategies.ca. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. And Lori Frank is with LoriFrankMediation.com. And I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with our Hill Group at hillgroup.com. Any last comments before we leave today?
Well, please stay safe and healthy, and don't get too close to each other. As I experienced it, you get ran over in the grocery store just because people wear a mask, and I don't think that's a good idea. Still not.
Yeah.
I think are you guys into catching up again once a month?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do that at the beginning of November. We'll see how things are going. And if people have questions in the meantime, they can message me and I'll forward them on if they don't want to go through this group. And if you need anything, guys, you don't have to live in a bad situation, right?
There's always another way.
There's always a choice. Yes.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day and see you in a month.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.